Welcome to my new moon ritual. If you didn't know, yesterday the 19th was a new moon in Sagittarius. And today is the solstice. So happy winter solstice, everybody. And I'd like to share with you the way that I celebrate. First thing I did, and this is just like a hodgepodge of different things that I've gathered. This is not what I do every new moon. It's just this one. So the first thing I did was I set my intentions. I decided what my seed is, what I wish to plant at the new moon. And I've got a whole ass journal here. Sometimes I can be a little bit too much, right? But the things that I want to share with you is, the intention that I set. I think a lot of the intentions that I set for the new moons are a lot about, like, you need to fix this thing about yourself. You need to leave this thing behind. You need to fix, This one's different because the intention that I picked is to be more conscious and more frequent in connecting with me. Taking a second to pause and focus in on who I am. I'm a very joyous, loving human with wonderful intentions, just generally. And sometimes I forget that, and sometimes I get very distracted by the chaos of the world, right? And I'm recognizing more and more that the chaos is not going to disappear in any way, shape, or form. It's here to stay. And I recognize that I'm doing this thing where I'm waiting for complete balance in the exterior before I can feel like I can create what I am meant to create. And that's false, right? The balance has to come from inward. And it doesn't matter what is going on out there, which is not good. I don't know if you know, damn. Right? So my intention for this new moon is to more frequently take a pause and to connect with that joyful, fun-loving, expansive nature that is Lindsay, and to find balance in that space so that I can create despite the chaos. So that's the intention. It's supposed to be an intention that doesn't feel like pressure or out of obligation. It's just simply a joyful thing. And that's the best I can come up with, okay? The other part of this new moon that I've decided to do is a truth cleanse. Never heard of this before, but I find it very interesting. It's this concept of like identifying a truth or a belief that doesn't serve you. Which you would think, like most people think, like a truth or a belief is something that you need, but sometimes not. So it was a good exercise in thinking about beliefs or truths that I hold within myself that no longer serve me. And I have like a whole list of shit for that one, but the main one that I want to talk about here is holding beliefs that I need stuff like where I need coffee to function in the morning. I need that to get going, to be focused, or, you don't need that. There is no chemical substance that you need in life to make you happier or to live more fully. That's the truth. Sometimes I'll tell myself that I need those things, and that's not the truth, right? Sometimes I'll tell myself, Lindsay, before you send this document to this genetics professor, you need to know everything about genetics. That's not the truth. Not even that professor knows everything about everything. I set these very incremental rules for growth and expansion, and that doesn't need to exist. So I'm trying to let a lot of those beliefs go. I've been given permission by an astrologer, this cool guy named Danny, to just be chaotic and sporadic in my creation, because that is who I am. I've been given permission to be a little sloppy, and I really needed that. Thanks, Danny. Anyways, truth cleanse. So I've set up, what it is that my seed will be. And the next part of this new moon solstice ritual is to sit in the dark. I turn off all the lights and I light some candles. I love it. And I sit with it. There's two parts. I have like a cognitive thing that I put to it where I think about all of the things that I've written down, and I try to make sure that just like I'm cognitively tracking all of those things. But part of this is to like just be in silence and not think about anything at all. For me personally, I like to bring little meditative practices to everything, and I like to, for my new moons, imagine myself as a tree. Of course, I'm not going to be anything else, right? And I imagine sending roots out into the earth. And I tell myself that the building of strong, healthy roots is achieved through spiritual practice, prayer and meditation. It is through taking care of my body. One of the things that I want to be better about this new moon, it is through connecting with that loving space, through those types of things. That is what builds our roots. And when you have strong roots, there is not a single storm in this world that will rip you out of the ground. You're just there. You're going to sway like a motherfucker, but you're going to stay. You might lose a limb or two, but you're good. So anyways, I do this meditative thing where I imagine my roots growing, and I focus in on my trunk, and the trunk is where nutrients flows to the crown. It's symbolically where the things of life move through me, right? The joys, the pain, what it is to be a human. And I don't hold on to any of it. I recognize where I'm at in this moment, and I try my best to let it flow. Recognizing that holding on to anything is not good for you, even the good stuff. I connect with this space right before my crown, kind of like attribute it to my heart space, right? Where I try to go with my new moon intention is to identify like my loving, compassionate, like who I am. It's in this space that I recognize that there is a duality in life. And that it is the denial of either one of them that is harmful to our souls. A lot of, I think, contemporary spiritual people focus on the light nature, but really, like, who you are is the dark and the light. It is the dark that informs the light that informs the dark. And it is when we deny the dark pieces of ourselves that our soul warps. It is in the denial that we give the dark control over us. So anyways, I think a little bit about that every time, and then I connect with my crown space. The space where I meet the heavens and the heavens meets me. And in this meditative process, I imagine, all of these things that I've written down as the seeds that are growing in the cones, because I love that. If you know, you know. And then I imagine as if it has been dispersed, and like what those things would look like as they come to fruition, and the conditions that I need to create to make those things to come to fruition. So I do that, and then I sit and think about nothing, and it's like a whole thing, right? And I think collectively we're all heading towards, this is a big ending of a cycle, I think. And the year 26 will be a good one, better than the last one. I don't know if it could get much worse, so I'm really hoping for that. But, no, we're beginning a new cycle. And I think that this new moon, this solstice is an important one for like being straight and clear for what you want. And it's never too late to do this, right? You don't have to do it on the exact day. Give it a try. You know, I think that one of the things that I'm learning as being a spiritual content creator is that my purpose here, you know, is to help provide the tools and the maps, but also to encourage that like true soul or spiritual growth can only be achieved by the individual. There's nothing I can tell anybody to bring them soul growth. They have to hear the things that I say potentially and do something with it. Really, some of the best spiritual teachers are like actually useless. So anyways, here's a tool. Here's a map. I don't know what you want to call it. Do with it what you will. And if you've made it this far, I'm grateful that you've been here. So happy winter solstice, everybody.